She is an imprisoned princess, yet possesses extraordinary intelligence. He is an ordinary boy, but called the Dark Reaper by others. When both get entangled in bizarre and mysterious incidents, can they unravel the tangled threads to restore the original truth? In 1924, Kazuya Kujo, from a military family, arrives to study at St. Marguerite Academy in the European country Sauville Kingdom. His black hair and eyes are considered ominous by classmates, earning him the nickname Dark Reaper and leading to school-wide isolation. To help Kazuya integrate into class, teacher Cecile suggests, "This country has many supernatural stories everyone passionately discusses. Learning these will give you conversation topics." Kazuya ventures to the academy library to read paranormal tales. There he encounters a golden-haired girl named Victorique. Contrasting her petite, lovely appearance, her personality could be described as caustic. Due to special circumstances, she cannot leave the library's top floor, passing time through reading. However, Inspector Greville regularly seeks her help analyzing cases. The current case involves fortune teller Roxane, murdered inside her locked mansion room, with only an Indian male servant, Arab female servant, and her biological granddaughter present that night. Using clues from Greville, Victorique deduces the Arab maid as the killer, though remains unaware of her motive. The next day, Greville uses Victorique's deductions to solve the case and claim newspaper headlines. Discovering Greville took full credit, Kazuya angrily confronts him. To silence Kazuya and protect his reputation, Greville agrees to take both Kazuya and Victorique on a yacht trip. When Victorique learns she can briefly leave her prison cell, her heart swells with joy. On departure day, Victorique beams with excitement while gazing at the scenery outside the window. Not only her first train ride, but also her maiden venture onto streets. Ordinary sights spark undiluted wonder in her. Later, the pair reunites with Greville. Regarding the previous case, the maid confessed her motive. This is the trunk's revenge, an evident metaphor. Before Victorique deciphers its meaning, Greville gets summoned back to the police station over the maid's escape. Victorique then discovers an invitation addressed to Roxane in the cabin, summoning her to a lavish cruise ship banquet featuring hair as the main course. To uncover Roxane's murder truth, they board the Queen Berry. At dinner with 9 others, their meals get drugged, causing temporary unconsciousness. Upon awakening, the group finds themselves relocated to a locked lounge. The original 11 occupants now number 12. The culprit had infiltrated during their unconsciousness. Kazuya reaches to touch a yacht model nearby. Only now does Kazuya recall supernatural legends about this shipwreck from a decade ago, reappearing during stormy nights to lure living sacrifices. Suddenly, the lounge lights extinguish. When illumination returns, blood-red writings materialize on the walls. The invitation's promised hare feast refers to all present attendees as the hares. This revelation terrifies everyone. One man desperately attempts escape, only to be instantly killed by a trap-mounted crossbow upon opening the door. Others swarm through the open doorway, fleeing to the deck and boarding lifeboats. Amid raging storms, the lifeboats capsize, drowning all 6 occupants. The remaining 5 retreat back, finding the lounge dilapidated and the corpse vanished. Survivors now include Foreign Ministry official Maurice, stage actor Ned, and heiress Julie. Under Victorique's interrogation, Maurice reveals, a decade ago, this ship carried 11 children dubbed hares from different nations who couldn't communicate. Adults forced them to stay overnight for unknown purposes. Provoked by hounds, the children grew paranoid and slaughtered each other. Could this truly be the sunken Queen Berry? Victorique dismisses ghostly theories, believing human scheming. The altered cabin results from entering an adjacent room through force of habit when retreating, while the bloody writings were pre-written by the mastermind and concealed beneath wallpaper. At this moment, the ship suddenly begins taking on water. Maurice urgently rallies the group toward the wireless room to send distress signals. Deadly traps lurk everywhere along the route. Seawater now floods the path to the wireless room. Mid-journey, Maurice abruptly snaps, charging into a room to seize a gun. Weapons were deliberately placed throughout the ship to incite children's mutual slaughter. Maurice suspects this revenge stems from surviving hares, believing eliminating everyone present will secure his survival. Kazuya shields Victorique, vowing to protect her at all costs. As Maurice pulls the trigger, another gunshot rings out first. Julie had also armed herself from the ship's weapons. Ned demands Julie discard her gun to prevent mutual suspicion.
Toss it, or do you have a reason to carry it?
The remaining 4 proceed until Ned suddenly screams and collapses lifeless on the stairs. Victorique perceives danger, urgently summoning Kazuya to her side.
At this rate, we'll be killed.
She orders everyone to flee and search nearby rooms for weapons. While the trio gropes in darkness, the deceased Ned, wielding a giant axe, enters the room, immediately spotting Victorique. He grabs Victorique. Kazuya rushes over and throws a punch at him. During Ned's momentary unconsciousness, they escape the room. The trio reaches the deck with the wireless room ahead. As they catch their breath, Ned pursues them. Kazuya shoves Victorique into the wireless room for protection, then gets pinned down by Ned and beaten. Kazuya struggles futilely against the physical disparity. At the critical moment, Julie seizes the axe and delivers Ned's fatal blow. With Ned plunging into the abyss, the death game concludes. Seeing Kazuya return unharmed, Victorique finally relaxes. At dawn, the Queenberry sinks beneath the waves. They return ashore via rescue boats, only for Julie to face legal judgment. She orchestrated everything. Julie wasn't an heiress but a survivor from the decade-old incident. Adults had selected orphans worldwide for the yacht. Ned's faked death triggered their mutual slaughter. During the carnage, Julie bonded with an Arab girl. Upon reaching the end together, they discovered this was adults' death divination ritual. Hares representing nations would kill each other aboard the trunk, symbolizing yacht, with the surviving child's nation prophesied to win the World War. Roxane's precise predictions awarded survivors vast wealth. Julie used the funds to recreate the Queenberry and commenced her decade-delayed revenge. Post-interrogation, police escort Julie away. In the corridor, she reunites with her cherished friend. Cruel fate dictates their vengeance's completion, consigns them to lifelong imprisonment. Meanwhile, Kazuya and his companion return to school. Only now does he learn Greville is actually Victorique's half-brother from different mothers. Though their father holds the powerful position of Marquis, Victorique has been imprisoned since childhood due to her mother being deemed dangerous. She cannot leave freely without her father's permission. Therefore, Kazuya makes a promise with Victorique to venture out together again next time.
We'll go outside again soon, just the 2 of us.
That's a promise.
This boy's Grim Reaper aura rivals Conan's reputation. While Conan has the roller coaster murder case, Kazuya faces the headless motorcycle incident, except Conan solves crimes as a detective, whereas Kazuya gets wrongfully arrested as a scapegoat. To clear his name, he requests Victorique's deduction. Using clues from Greville and the wire found at the scene, she deduces someone pre-strung wires along the motorcyclist's path, exploiting high-speed travel to create an alibi-assisted assassination. Regarding the culprit's identity, she identifies them as a golden-haired girl with wire-related finger injuries. Though Kazuya clears suspicion, these consecutive deaths cement his Dark Reaper moniker among students. As he agonizes over this, Cecile introduces transfer student Avril, granddaughter of a famed explorer, who instantly takes interest in Kazuya and insists he tour the campus with her. Kazuya grows uneasy, noticing Avril shares both golden hair and hand injuries matching the motorcycle killer's profile. Cecile suddenly appears, requesting help with funeral preparations following a school death. When Kazuya opens the tomb door, a knight's corpse tumbles out, terrifying everyone and making Cecile faint. Only Avril remains unnervingly calm, secretly entering the tomb to retrieve a book from the floor. Shortly after the police arrive at the scene, Greville's investigation identifies the deceased as Maxim, a former student of the academy who used to return every spring, stay temporarily, and then leave, but he had been missing for 8 years. Greville further discovers that the tomb was last opened 8 years ago, when a female student named Mill died of illness. Victorique integrates all clues but notices a critical missing piece, instructing 2 people to check whether a corpse is missing from the tomb. Their investigation confirms one body is indeed missing, completing the puzzle. Victorique concludes that Maxim's killer was Milla herself. Knowing her illness was fatal, Mill drugged Maxim, dressed him in night attire, used stolen keys to open the tomb, swapped his unconscious body with a corpse, and then passed away. After awakening trapped in the tomb, Maxim eventually perished alongside her underground. Though the desiccated night case is solved, Kazuya does not leave immediately. Having seen Avril visiting the library on his way back and recalling her suspicious behavior, he cannot help but feel doubts. According to Victorique's speculation, Avril came specifically to hide books. Guided by Victoric's reasoning, the two locate the book that had been removed from the tomb, containing a postcard sent by Avril's grandfather. Victoric instantly recognizes the postcard's uniqueness, but refrains from telling Kazuya. Shortly after Kazuya leaves the library, he encounters a troubled Greville. Following the desiccated Knight case, the notorious European phantom thief Quiran has infiltrated the village. Though the original thief vanished years ago, a second-generation successor recently emerged. After sharing this information, Greville departs to investigate. While walking past the school's old warehouse, Kazuya is suddenly knocked unconscious. Upon awakening in the infirmary, he finds the book he carried has disappeared. Kazuya suspects Avril's involvement, but she claims the warehouse is haunted and probes him about the Golden Fairy legend in the library, learning of Victoric's existence. That evening, while Kazuya searches the warehouse for the book with teacher Cecile, ethereal cries for help emerge from its depths, startling them both. Meanwhile, Avril visits the library's top floor but finds no sign of Victoric. When Kazuya arrives, she hastily excuses herself. After Avril's departure, Victoric appears before Kazuya. Hearing his account, Victoric identifies Avril as the second-generation phantom thief. The original thief vanished 8 years ago, aligning with Maxim's death timeline, having returned each spring to hide stolen goods, though his final book remained unsecured before being trapped in the tomb. Now Avril seeks this same book. Regarding the warehouse ghost, Victoric suspects it to be the real Avril. Later, Kazuya and Greville rescue a bound blonde girl from the warehouse's underground storage, confirmed as the true Avril. Meanwhile, the imposter Quiran, disguised as Avril, searches the library's top floor for Victoric. When confronted by Kazuya, Quiran abandons her disguise, revealing her true target is not the book but the postcard inside. The postcard stamp holds immense value due to being the earliest issued batch with printing errors. Quiran throttles Kazuya, demanding the stamp's location, then pushes him down the stairs when he refuses. As Quiran grows impatient, Victoric suddenly appears above her.
Get away from him! That boy is mine! Ah!
After resolving the Quiran incident, Avril inherits her grandfather's sole legacy and becomes friends with Kazuya. That day, a notice was published in the newspaper summoning descendants of the Grey Wolves to return to the village for the summer solstice festival, accompanied by a simplified map. When Victoric saw the newspaper, she stumbled and fell in her excitement. Observing her repeatedly rubbing her forehead, Kazuya deduced she was extremely sensitive to pain and playfully flicked her forehead.
I didn't know you were that kind of man. As of this moment, you and I are over!
What, are you serious?
After being ignored by Victoric, Kazuya left in frustration. By evening, he regretted his actions and went to apologize, only to discover Victoric sneaking out. Noticing her swollen face, Kazuya initially assumed she had a toothache and tried taking her to a dentist, but they inexplicably ended up boarding a train heading straight to the Grey Wolves' village. Due to an approaching storm that night, they took shelter at a nearby inn. When wolf howls echoed outside, Kazuya rushed into the corridor and encountered Victoric, who remained resentful about the earlier incident and refused to reveal her true purpose for visiting the village. Only after seeing Kazuya's genuine concern did Victoric explain she came to prove someone's innocence, her mother Cordelia, who had worked as a maid in the Grey Wolves' village. Cordelia, possessing the so-called Grey Wolf bloodline, was accused of committing a crime one night and expelled by villagers. She later became one of 3 dancers selected by a marquis seeking to introduce the Grey Wolf lineage into his family, ultimately giving birth to Victoric. When the marquis learned of Cordelia's alleged crime, he regretted tainting his bloodline. After Cordelia fled, Victoric was imprisoned while growing up. Convinced of her mother's innocence, Victoric seized this village reopening to clear Cordelia's name. The next day, the two arrived at the Grey Wolves' village, accompanied by a nun from the marketplace and 3 unfamiliar men. As the drawbridge lowered, villagers wielding weapons attempted to drive Victoric away until the village chief intervened to stop them.
We will allow you to celebrate with us, our daughter, even if your mother was a murderer.
Under the chief's guidance, the group entered the village. When Maid Harmonia saw Victoric's identical resemblance to Cordelia, she turned pale and stammered incoherently, seemingly terrified by something. Victoric then questioned the chief about Cordelia's alleged crime. The previous chief, Theodore, had been found dead in his study at 3 a.m. years earlier. Cordelia, being the discoverer of the corpse, became the prime suspect. With no other suspicious individuals identified, she was expelled as the murderer. However, lingering doubts remained. Numerous gold coins were scattered around Theodore's body during his death, and while the chief had declared the time of death as midnight based on his pocket watch, others disputed this because the study's wall clock had not chimed. To uncover the truth, Victorique and Kazuya investigated Cordelia's former room, discovering a photograph hidden beneath a hollow floorboard. They later found a message left by Cordelia on Theodore's tombstone.
I did not commit this crime. Sad.
That night, while Victorique was bathing in the room with Kazuya guarding outside the door, the lights flickered and a fake eyeball mysteriously appeared in Hewater glass. Clearly, someone intended to frighten Victorique into leaving the Grey Wolves' village. The next day, during the summer solstice festival, the village chief's assistant Ambrose lit the ceremonial float according to tradition, only to horrifically discover the mannequin had been replaced with a real person who burned alive. The victim, Alan, was one of the 6 individuals who had arrived at the village with them the previous night. The chief dismissed suspicions, claiming Alan had disguised himself as the mannequin to disrupt the ritual. Meanwhile, Kazuya became separated from Victorique during the chaos. While searching for her, he reached the village church where ancestral spirits supposedly possess the chief annually to prophesize futures. Though skeptical, Kazuya asked whether he and Victorique would remain together forever. The chief predicted they would be separated years later by a storm sweeping the world, yet remain spiritually connected. As Kazuya grew despondent, Victorique emerged from the church with tearful eyes. After being separated earlier, she had investigated Theodore's study and encountered Harminia there. Harminia revealed Cordelia had only been 15 during the incident, physically incapable of overpowering a grown man, contradicting the murder accusations. As the clock chimed on the hour, Victorique instantly grasped the truth of the past incident. Before she could explain to Kazuya, the village chief suddenly rushed out of the church, seized a hunting rifle, and headed into the forest. Aiming toward the direction of wolf howls, his gunshot triggered a human scream. The victim, Raoul, another companion of Alan. Though the chief was accused as the killer, Victorique knew his innocence. To prove this, Kazuya and 2 others investigated the church at night. When Greville unexpectedly appeared, Derek, who had infiltrated the church, was arrested. Derek and the 2 deceased victims were thieves targeting village antiques, but disagreements arose during the division of stolen goods. Derek murdered his accomplices to monopolize the wealth. Greville's presence stemmed from discovering Victorique's secret departure from the academy earlier, with the nun being his surveillance agent. With the Grey Wolves' village murders resolved, attention shifted to clearing Cordelia's name. In a staged reenactment, Kazuya disguised as Theodore confronted Harminia. Overwhelmed by decades of guilt, she publicly confessed her crime. 20 years ago, during the summer solstice festival, Harminia, prophesied to die at 26, hid inside the study's wall clock. When Theodore entered, scattered gold coins distracted him. Harminia leaped down and stabbed him in the back before returning to the clock, preventing its chime. Cordelia subsequently became Harminia's scapegoat upon discovering the body. After learning the truth of the past incident, the village chief decided to execute Harminia according to the prophecy. When Ambrose could not bring himself to carry it out and let her escape, Harminia went mad and ignited fires everywhere, burning both the village and the wooden bridge leading out of it. The chief showed no concern, believing villagers needed no reason to leave. Kazuya and the others rushed toward the opposite shore, but Harminia blocked their path, convinced that killing Victorique was the only way to defy her prophecy and prolong her life. To protect Victorique, Kazuya fought fiercely against Harminia, accumulating more wounds until Ambrose seized the weapon at the critical moment.
I finally managed to make up with you. I wouldn't be able to stand being apart from you again.
Harminia slipped and plunged into the abyss, fulfilling the prophecy that she could never escape her fate. The wooden bridge now teetered precariously, collapsing entirely before Kazuya could reach safety. As he nearly fell into the cliff, Victorique abandoned her falling precious necklace to desperately grab Kazuya's hand.
Come back with me! This isn't where we get separated, don't you remember?
Reinvigorated, Kazuya pulled himself up. With the return path completely destroyed, Ambrose resolved to explore the outside world. He then informed Kazuya that during the summer solstice festival prophecy ritual, Victorique had asked the same question as him. Though the future held sorrowful answers, they chose instead to treasure the present. Shortly after returning to the academy, Kazuya received a letter from his sister containing both a shopping list and a Japanese kimono gift for Victorique. Overjoyed by the present, Victorique hurried back to the detached house at the maze's center and eagerly attempted to wear it, only to realize she couldn't tie the kimono's sash properly. After sleeping wrapped in it overnight, she inevitably caught a fever. Meanwhile, Kazuya arrived at the department store, where his black hair and black eyes led staff to mistake him for someone else, escorting him to the top-floor room. There he saw blue roses, genuine ones unlike the imitation he intended to purchase. Though unaware of their authenticity, he was chased out by the owner. Exiting via the wrong elevator, Kazuya accidentally descended to the basement level and encountered a paranoid girl muttering about demons in the discarded wooden crates, who begged him to fetch police. When Kazuya brought Greville back, both the girl and any trace of her had vanished, with staff denying his earlier visit. Leaving the store doubting his sanity, Kazuya was grabbed by an old woman claiming the store ate her daughter. Luigi, a nearby beggar with sharp memory, approached and revealed the store had dispatched people to destroy evidence while Kazuya sought help. As Kazuya called Victorique for assistance, a hand suddenly dragged him into a passing carriage, belonging to the same girl who had earlier begged him to find police. The girl was named Anastasia. After being abducted, she was imprisoned in a room overlooking the royal palace. Young girls were then led into chambers where demonic whispers echoed below. Those subjected to curses would be taken away permanently. Fortunately, she escaped and hid in the department store basement. Kazuya instructed Anastasia to seek Greville at the police station while returning to the store himself. He located the beggar Luigi and persuaded him to jointly file a report. Observing Kazuya's dedication, Luigi remarked he was naively kind before agreeing. With Luigi's testimony, police confirmed missing girl's substantial connection to the store, though struggled to comprehend Anastasia's claims of demonic rituals. Greville directed Kazuya to consult Victorique instead, avoiding personal involvement due to her habit of demanding favors. Meanwhile, Victorique had already deduced Kazuya's predicament. After hearing the summary, she explained that blue rose replicas were glass and would shatter upon impact, meaning the intact one Kazuya saw must be the stolen royal artifact. Thus, the store likely operated an underground smuggling ring. The police subsequently raided the store. The police discovered the hidden space behind fitting rooms, which the owner dismissed as mere storage. But does his denial truly leave authorities powerless? At that moment, the police stealthily pressed handprints onto the glass using palms coated with phosphorescent powder. When Greville ordered the lights extinguished, glowing imprints revealed themselves on the glass, while unmarked windows exposed the store's hidden chamber holding captives. Exposed, store staff violently clashed with police. Seizing the chaos, Kazuya reached the chamber's floor and pried open the compartment, finally understanding Anastasia's demonic ritual, referred to illegal auctions where bidding voices masqueraded as curses. With police intervention, all involved, including organizers, were arrested. Stolen royal artifacts were reclaimed, and missing girls' whereabouts became the police commissioner's priority. After resolution, Luigi received noble sponsorship to attend boarding school from Jacqueline, Greville's childhood friend. Cheerful and optimistic since youth, Jacqueline unknowingly held Greville's lifelong devotion. Fate intervened cruelly. Bound by family marriage vows, she later became murder suspect on her wedding eve due to victims' dying clues. To clear her name, Greville sought Victorique's aid. However, Victorique, raised in isolation, couldn't grasp his emotions, demanding Greville adopt a drill-like hairstyle as payment. Though Jacqueline's innocence was proven, she remained unaware of Greville's sacrifices, his love buried silently for her happiness. Summer vacation arrived in a blink. Avril invited Kazuya to visit her grandmother's home in the Mediterranean, but as they boarded the train, Kazuya thought of Victorique and ultimately chose to stay. Meanwhile, believing Kazuya had abandoned her for a holiday, Victorique grew so despondent she couldn't focus on reading. When Kazuya appeared to shield her from the scorching sun, her mood lifted instantly. He brought snacks mailed from his homeland, including a reply letter from his second brother addressed to Victorique. Kazuya had often praised his brother's superior intellect and strength, prompting Victorique's competitive challenge, a puzzle none could solve, proving her unmatched brilliance. Kazuya recalled childhood reprimands from his father. Overshadowed by accomplished brothers, his mistakes sparked accusations against his mother's parenting. Lingering insecurity haunted him, yet through Victorique's encouragement, he gradually regained confidence. They spent a joyful summer together, deepening their bond. As vacation neared its end, Avril returned early and invited Kazuya to a horror film about an alchemist in a clock tower. Having developed feelings since Kazuya rescued her, Avril hastily invented an excuse to divert him from visiting Victoric, steering him toward exploring the school's clock tower. While ascending the stairs, both experienced sudden dizziness but safely reached the top-floor room. At that moment, Avril recalled a ghost story about an alchemist named Leviathan, who perpetually wore a mask and established a workshop in the clock tower. Later gaining favor with the queen, he secured political influence, prompting the jealous king to order his assassination via poisoned arrows. Yet Leviathan emerged unscathed, rumored to be ageless and undying. Meanwhile, at the library, Victorique accidentally discovered Leviathan's archived books, documenting his rise from obscurity to power, including his execution records. His death sentence stemmed neither from deceiving the king nor manipulating the queen, but from murdering an innocent child to validate alchemy. The text contained a taunting passage: "My secret cannot be exposed. Should any challenger persist, let them try." Victoric deemed this blatant provocation. When Kazuya left his dormitory, he noticed a suspicious man lurking near the clock tower. Pursuing him, Kazuya found the man collapsed inside the tower's chamber with fingertips discolored poison purple. Police swiftly launched an investigation. Upon hearing this from Kazuya, Victorique contemplated briefly before accepting Leviathan's challenge to expose his alleged alchemical trickery. However, Cecile intercepted Victorique immediately after her emergence, insisting, "Since you're out, meet classmates," forcibly escorting her to a classroom for an awkward first encounter with Avril. The meeting turned hostile when Kazuya, unaware of context, demanded Victorique apologize first, deepening her resentment. Their teacher then revealed the clock tower's dark history. Since the century's start, multiple outsiders had perished there, all victims of fingertip poisoning. For this purpose, Kazuya and Avril visited the village cemetery seeking information. An elderly man told them he had witnessed a ghost here during his youth, footsteps audible yet the figure invisible, leaving only footprints imprinted on the ground. Additionally, he revealed that Africans once resided locally until an epidemic wiped them out overnight. Meanwhile, during her clock tower investigation, Victorique encountered the magician Brian inside the chamber. He displayed intimate knowledge of her identity while she apparently recognized his true nature, creating tense hostility between them until maintenance workers arrived, easing the confrontation. Later at the academy, Kazuya relayed gathered information to Victorique. Avril firmly believed Leviathan's ghost caused the incidents, trusting his alchemy unquestioningly. To dismantle Avril's delusions, Victorique replicated Leviathan's signature feat, transforming white roses blue. The trick involved concealing cotton soaked in blue ink within one's palm, allowing stems to absorb dye through incisions. With all puzzle pieces assembled, Victorique resolved to unveil historical truths and shatter the illusions of Leviathan's alchemical fraud. The man claimed to be an alchemist. By wielding the power to transmute stones into gold, he ascended to the pinnacle of authority. Yet his so-called alchemy was ultimately a century-spanning fraud. Following the clues, Victorique led everyone in unraveling the truth step by step. In 1873, the African gold rush swept the globe. The Saville Kingdom utilized its African colonies to transport vast quantities of gold back to its homeland, afterwards silencing all Africans involved in the operation. Only Leviathan survived, escaping the mass grave at night, the origin of the cemetery ghost. The following year, the emperor suddenly died from illness, leaving the gold's whereabouts unknown with Leviathan as the sole witness. He discovered and utilized this hidden gold to fabricate his identity as an alchemist, becoming favored by the king and queen. Leviathan sought to leverage this influence to protect his beloved homeland, but this peace proved fleeting. Internal factional conflicts emerged within the Saville Kingdom, between the Materialist Science Academy and the paranormal department that worshipped supernatural forces. While the academy dismissed alchemy as deception, the paranormal department's leader Marquis remained devoutly convinced. As external skepticism towards Leviathan intensified, only a noble boy named Musgrave maintained unwavering faith. To validate alchemy's existence, Leviathan forced him to drink molten gold. After committing this atrocity, Leviathan faced siege by royal forces until Marquis intervened, offering protection in exchange for Leviathan creating weapons to ensure victory in the impending world war.
What dost thou want from me?
Immortal soldiers. Homunculi.
However, Marquis had never anticipated that Leviathan's alchemy was fraudulent. During the clock tower's construction, its structure had been deliberately angled to conceal a gold-storing hidden chamber, explaining why Kazuya and Avril experienced dizziness upon arrival. A lethal mechanism guarded the vault. Touching the crimson roses engraved on the walls triggered fatal poisoning through skin contact. As the secret chamber's doors creaked open, Leviathan's corpse alongside mountainous piles of gold materialized before the crowd, conclusively exposing the century-long deception. Yet Victorique withheld one detail: Leviathan's final words to Marquis before death.
If its power thou desires, then thou needst to sire a child with a woman who possesses such powers.
It could be said that all misfortunes in Victorique's life stemmed from Leviathan's final words.
Do you think a day will come when you won't be able to find me?
Don't worry about that, because nothing in this world will ever be able to stop me from finding you.
Autumn arrived swiftly. Kazuya visited the library as usual, but found Victorique absent. Upon inquiry, Cecile revealed Marquis's subordinates had transferred her to a convent called Beelzebub's Skull the previous night. Since parting with Kazuya, Victorique had refused all food and water. Fearing for his sister's life, Greville entrusted Kazuya with an invitation. The convent would host a magical light show, and invitation holders could infiltrate to rescue her. Kazuya packed and headed for the convent. Simultaneously, magician Brian boarded a train toward the same destination. Sharing Grey Wolf village ancestry through his bloodline, Brian maintained unusual connections with Victorique's mother Cordelia. His objective was retrieving a secret relic box previously taken from Nameless Village. Upon arrival, Kazuya observed the convent situated in lowlands protected by a massive dam preventing seawater intrusion. After passing ticket inspection, he received enthusiastic greetings from light show hostesses. Spotting Victorique in the crowd, Kazuya pursued when she turned away, unrecognizing him, chasing until reaching the building's highest level where he finally located her. Just as Kazuya attempted explaining his delayed arrival,
No excuses!
Hey, I still found you, didn't I?
however, the person Kazuya had encountered earlier was not Victorique but her mother Cordelia. Though Cordelia had long departed, she never stopped worrying about her daughter. She once vowed to rush to Victorique's aid whenever danger arose, regardless of time or place. Yet Marquis, her father, had brought Victorique here precisely to lure out Cordelia. During their wait for the return train, Kazuya and the others passed through a secluded area and witnessed a man sneaking out of a room, Hunt, whom Kazuya had met on the train. Though ostensibly a clock merchant, Hunt was actually a science department spy. He had followed Kazuya and the others to watch the magic performances, articulately explaining key techniques. During the final act, two bound twin sisters swapped places within a narrow wardrobe. The bishop insisted this demonstrated magical power, but Hunt objected. Determined to expose the trick, he entered the wardrobe, only to be found stabbed to death when the doors reopened. Hallucinogenic smoke then began spreading through the chamber. Kazuya suspected Brian's involvement, but upon pursuit encountered Cordelia instead. She handed Kazuya a ring and entrusted him with a message for her daughter. Elsewhere, Victorique confronted Brian, who openly disclosed his purpose. The relic box he brought here a decade ago could weaken the science department's influence, but it had already been stolen before his arrival. When Victorique pressed for updates about her mother, Brian departed without another word. At that moment, the bombs installed in the dam detonated, triggering seawater flooding into the convent. The crowd stampeded toward the trains, yet Victorique refused to move. Uncertain of her purpose for existence, she lacked motivation to survive. Kazuya forcibly carried her, declaring solutions could wait until later. Seeing Kazuya's unwavering resolve, Victorique suddenly realized she was no longer the original Grey Wolf, now possessing a heart capable of understanding love. Kazuya sprinted desperately, boarding the departing train mere moments before seawater engulfed the platform. He delivered Cordelia's ring and message to Victorique.
Even if you choose not to cry out to me, I will always come running for you.
Only then did Victorique truly believe her mother had always loved her. Later in their carriage, they explained Hunt's murder to two female passengers. The killer was the nun who entered the wardrobe with him. Her wrist ropes had slip knots, enabling easy liberation to stab Hunt. As they spoke, two newcomers entered, a burly middle-aged man and a timid wealthy youth. Victorique explained the relic box's significance. In certain European regions, people stored life experience artifacts in such boxes, buried with their owners upon death. That both occult and science departments coveted this box proved its extraordinary origins. The carriage lights abruptly extinguished. After illumination returned, a middle-aged woman volunteered to fetch clothes for Victorique. Simultaneously, the short-haired girl discovered missing belongings and requested the burly man to retrieve garments. However, the man immediately confronted the woman upon exiting. Kazuya glimpsed the woman's corpse through the window, but Victorique silenced him before speech. She deduced all passengers belonged to occult and science department spies. The deceased woman was occult department's scarecrow, the short-haired girl science department's orphan, the burly man science department's knight, and the wealthy youth occult department's woodcutter. After changing clothes, they proceeded to the dining car with 3 others. During gameplay, Woodcutter poisoned Orphan. Witnessing his ally's demise, Knight attempted to execute Woodcutter but was fatally shot instead.
Damn ministry dog! The box is mine! I will not give it up!
Clutching the box, Orphan staggered toward the locomotive. Knight warned remaining passengers against movement. Failure to report would trigger external collaborators to detonate bombs and derail the train, killing all aboard. Kazuya refused to wait passively for death, guiding Victorique across train rooftops in pursuit. Though Knight gave chase, bridge abutments knocked him off the train. Reaching the locomotive, they confronted Orphan, who still resisted surrendering the box, though poison left her moments from death. Securing the relic, Kazuya and Victorique raced to defuse bombs. With only 1 bullet remaining, failure meant certain annihilation.
Together!
The two ultimately succeeded in preventing the bomb detonation. Once the train came to a halt as its fuel depleted, Victorique opened the relic box containing its owner's life evidence. The intense rivalry between both factions stemmed from the box belonging to Roger, head of the science department. Public exposure of his Grey Wolf lineage from occult legends would undermine the science department's authority. Victorique remained indifferent to such matters, entrusting the box to Woodcutter for mission completion. His sister remained hostage by the occult department, requiring the relic for her ransom. However, Victorique had secretly retained the most crucial portion hidden within. The girl was originally merely a dancer, yet Marquis became obsessed with her due to her ancient Grey Wolf lineage. He forcibly claimed her to bear his offspring. To Marquis, this daughter wasn't his blood descendant but a tool to secure victory in the World War. Later, Cordelia was imprisoned in an asylum until Brian's assistance enabled her escape. To avoid Marquis' detection, she hid inside chess puppets, traveling with Brian for magic performances. Reuniting with her daughter years later, Cordelia's heart ached witnessing Victorique's vacant demeanor, vowing to free her from captivity. A decade passed in the blink of an eye. As Christmas approached again, Marquis prepared to stage the tragic play of Queen Coco Rose. Sensing malicious intent, Cordelia resolved to journey to the capital with Brian. Meanwhile, Kazuya selected a gold coin necklace in town as Victorique's Christmas gift, hoping it would maintain her spiritual bond with her mother, replacing the original pendant. A sudden gust of wind revived Kazuya's memory of the Grey Wolf village chief's ominous prophecy. His foreboding materialized when Greville abducted Victorique under Marquis' orders to solve the Coco Rose cold case. Kazuya encountered Cecile on the streets, learning about Victorique's capture. He desperately rushed into the theater's underground depths, only to be coldly dismissed by Victorique, fearing his involvement. Victorique then entered a chamber plastered with case materials. Marquis had long suspected the king as the murderer, but lacked evidence. He required Victorique's deductions to expose the monarch's weakness, thereby consolidating greater power for himself. Coco Rose arrived from France in 1887 with her maid to wed into royalty. After experiencing difficult childbirth in 1900, she relocated outside the palace grounds. By 1914, on the eve of the Great War, French emissaries visited only to discover Coco Rose's headless corpse. Though the king had been the sole visitor to her chamber, his alibi became indisputable when Coco Rose's severed head simultaneously appeared and exploded at a suburban villa. Victorique attempted to deduce the king's methodology but found herself hindered by incomplete evidence fragments. As Marquis lost patience witnessing her struggles, he resolved to force extreme measures compelling Victorique's deductions. Meanwhile, Kazuya learned from Greville that failure to solve the case would result in Victorique's permanent confinement. Determined to prevent separation, Kazuya volunteered to investigate clues. At the opera house, he observed a portrait mistakenly identified as Coco Rose. Theater staff revealed it depicted Nicole LaRue, a doppelganger actress who vanished in 1900. Kazuya's intuition linked Nicole to the cold case. Further inquiries uncovered Nicole's participation in a secretary recruitment requiring specific blonde-haired, blue-eyed candidates with regulated foot measurements. A bakery owner, Nicole's fan, disclosed her supposed death date on the tombstone coincided with Coco Rose's palace departure year, yet contradictory accounts claimed Nicole was sighted alive post-1900. As Kazuya pursued deeper investigation, Brian intercepted him roadside, guiding the youth to Opera House catacombs where a door opened, permitting Victorique's rescue attempt. Meanwhile, in the chamber, another Brian rescued Victorique, disappearing with a smoke bomb upon Kazuya's arrival. Despite Victorique's resistance to his involvement, she acquiesced to joint investigation under Kazuya's persistence. Receiving clues from Kazuya, Victorique demanded excavation of Nicole LaRue's tomb. The coffin contained a decapitated corpse, the head decomposed while the embalmed body remained preserved. A suicide note pinned to Coco Rose's brooch completed their evidence. Returning to the Opera House, Victorique commenced her deduction. Public knowledge positioned Coco Rose's death in 1914, yet her actual demise occurred in 1900. The perpetrator recruited Nicole LaRue as royal substitute through fake secretary recruitment, maintaining the deception until 1914, when approaching French envoys necessitated Nicole's murder and head removal. The exploded suburban villa head belonged to embalmed Coco Rose herself, detonation preventing corpse age identification. Nicole's head paired with Coco's body occupied Nicole's grave, while Coco's tomb held Nicole's body with Coco's head. Victorique concluded direct evidence vanished over time, though she recognized the king's massive crown as Nicole's skull transportation method. The suicide note revealed Coco Rose's affair with African alchemist Leviathan, producing illegitimate offspring. Discovering this post-childbirth, the king murdered Coco Rose, with science department leader Roger orchestrating subsequent cover-ups. Notably missing were Coco's maid and bastard child, the maid bearing striking resemblance to her mistress. Victorique speculated Coco swapped identities with her maid before death, theory corroborated by their earlier encounter with a mother-child pair on the carriage. As Kazuya and Victorique returned to the academy, Cordelia observed from afar accompanied by two Brians, twin siblings revealed through this revelation. On Christmas Day, the school hosted its customary costume ball as per tradition. Cecile procured an outfit for Kazuya, while recounting the legend of the beautiful monster, a humanoid creature said to bestow blessings upon the unfortunate, guarded by a protective rabbit. Authorities slaughtered the rabbit to capture the monster, unaware it served as the creature's heart, causing both to perish. Cecile lent the costume to Kazuya, who donned the rabbit attire while Victorique dressed as the beautiful monster. Their entrance together instantly captivated the gathering. After the dance segment, Victorique presented Kazuya with Cordelia's ring as a Christmas gift. Witnessing their compatibility, Avril silently withdrew. Remembering his own gift, Kazuya returned to his dormitory to retrieve the present box, oblivious to the prophesied storm winds approaching. On War's Eve, the king adopted Roger's counsel for pacifist policies, deporting foreign merchants and exchange students, unaware of Marquis's schemes. Meanwhile, Kazuya, forcibly taken for repatriation, entrusted his gift to Avril for Victorique. Refusing separation, he escaped the transport vehicle amidst chaos, evading captors through Luigi's aid. Simultaneously, streets flooded with rabbit-masked individuals from an emerging underground faction, inciting international conflict under the pretense that the beautiful monster thirsted for sinners' blood. Sensing impending danger, Kazuya resolved to return to Victorique's side. Luigi requested Jacqueline's assistance to have Greville escort Kazuya back. Meanwhile, Avril delivered the gift to Victorique, who felt no joy but profound sorrow over the separation. Greville arrived at the library under Marquis's orders to retrieve the beautiful monster. Refusing to become her father's pawn for warfare, Victorique was about to commit suicide with a knife when she discovered Kazuya held hostage by the occult department. Mirroring the legend's rabbit, Kazuya was Victorique's heart, compelling her cooperation with the occult department.
If the rabbit dies, then she'll die too.
In subsequent months, Victorique remained imprisoned beneath the royal palace, strategizing domestic and international affairs for Marquis daily. He seized crucial items from her relic box, exposing Roger's identity as a Grey Wolf, and spreading rumors about his conspiracy to restore Grey Wolf rule through the king. Loyal Roger faced public suspicion, and fled. As war loomed, national tensions escalated and students evacuated the academy, including Avril. While Jacqueline disapproved of Greville using Kazuya as leverage, even the Marquis' heir remained powerless, merely another chess piece devoid of autonomy. Meanwhile, the king still hesitated about joining World War II, yet succumbed to coercion after Marquis exposed the truth about the queen's death. All military forces now converged on the capital under Marquis' complete control. Citizens brainwashed by the beautiful monster moved like puppets, per milliampere ruckus schemes, blindly believing Sauville Kingdom's inevitable victory. Following the Leviathan incident years prior, Marquis had learned a truth. The occult could manipulate minds, with Victorique's existence serving as his instrument for mass psychological control.
Just like at the library tower. But you're not here.
The academy closed due to warfare, rendering Cecile unemployed. After repatriation, Kazuya joined the military as a soldier enduring superior's abuse, clinging to Victorique's ring as his sole emotional anchor. With Sauville Kingdom martial law enforced, Marquis ascended to prime ministership. Greville delivered dresses to Victorique, compelling her speech at the inauguration ceremony to radicalize citizens further. Unable to resist, Victorique wept silently until the underground prison door opened. During the inauguration ceremony, Victorique mounted the podium, rejecting brainwashing rhetoric, publicly exposing Marquis' lies.
It's been quite a while. Albert de Blua.
Cordelia had remained as Victorique's stand-in while Brian extracted the real Victorique. Flames erupted through the venue as Cordelia enacted belated vengeance, sacrificing her life willingly. The Bryan brothers followed steadfastly behind, pledging absolute devotion to Cordelia's cause. However, one Bryan sought to kill Victorique, believing only through her death could his beloved Cordelia survive for their brothers. The former Victorique might have disregarded her life, but through her time with Kazuya, she had learned love's essence. Pleading on her knees, she begged Brian for mercy. Meanwhile, Cordelia fatally stabbed Marquis before falling to guards' blades. One gravely wounded Brian, unable to flee, chose to remain with Cordelia as flames consumed them. Unaware of this tragedy, the other Brian fixated on killing Victorique until a struggle sent him tumbling off a cliff. Victorique rescued him, prompting Brian's change of heart. He resolved to honor Cordelia's wish by smuggling Victorique abroad. During their escape, Greville intercepted them. Though ordered to capture Victorique, compassion for his sister overrode obedience. He permitted her boat escape. Boarding the vessel, Brian's mortal wounds overcame him. With final breaths, he recounted being expelled from their village alongside his brother for red-haired, impure bloodline, their mother's betrayal, and how Cordelia's resilience amidst exile had captivated them. Brian implored Victorique to survive, fulfilling Cordelia's deepest desire. After his death, crew members held funeral rites for Brian. Meanwhile, Marquis' death drove the cowardly king to the brink of collapse, while Victorique became a wanted fugitive. A ship officer suspected her identity, but when her headscarf was removed, Victorique's golden hair had turned silver white. Evading pursuit, she discovered a simple sketch left by Kazuya in her necklace. Overwhelmed by longing, silent tears streamed down her face. The next day, aboard the ship, Roger appeared with a stack of letters from Kazuya, filled with yearning words, promising to return and personally speak those important words to her. Resolving to wait in Japan, Victorique departed. Years later, World War II ended with Sauville Kingdom cities lying in ruins. People finally awakened from the occult department's lies. With the inspector's assistance, Greville resumed police work, liberated from his father's control. Avril inherited her grandfather's legacy as an adventurer. Roger returned to the palace, revealing Coco Rose's survival to the king, yet refused to stay. Kazuya eventually returned to Japan, reuniting with Victorique after 5 years apart. This time, they would never separate. All matters settled. Those legendary supernatural tales that once controlled minds became buried in history's flow. Here concludes Gossick. This mystery series masterfully intertwines criminal cases with supernatural folklore through intricately connected plot lines, creating an exceptionally brilliant narrative that enthusiasts of the genre should not miss.